A battery constantly produces a logic signal. It's great for making sure things stay activated no matter what. Grab one from the Gadgets page of your tools bag and use the left stick and the action button to place it in the world. Hook up the battery to something using its output. It's as simple as that. Now it's active and nothing can stop it. Open the battery's tweak menu using the menu button. If you're working with more complicated logic that uses percentage values, you can customize the battery's output using the output tweak. You can set this anywhere from 100% to negative 100%. Finally, you can invert its output as well. These tweaks are for the tricky stuff. Normally, you shouldn't need to tweak a battery at all. An AND gate outputs a signal only when all of its inputs are active. Find one on the Gadgets page of your tools bag, and then use the left stick and the action button to select it and place it onto a microchip. Attach a switch to each end of the AND gate's inputs. Notice that if you activate the switches one at a time, the AND gate will do nothing. However, if you activate both switches at once, the AND gate will light up and produce a signal. And that's an AND gate at its very simplest. Now hover your Poppet cursor over the AND gate and press the menu button to open its tweak menu. From here, you can add more ports in order to make the AND gate require more inputs using the number of ports tweak. With the invert output tweak, you can reverse the AND gate's output so that it only turns off once it receives all its inputs. Finally, use the output value tweak to change whether the AND gate produces a signal based on its lowest input or whether its signal is based on all its inputs multiplied together. Note that this is a fairly advanced option and doesn't need to be touched for basic use. An OR gate produces a signal when any of its inputs are active. Find one on the Gadgets page of your tools bag, then use the left stick and the action button to select it and place it onto a microchip. Attach a switch to each of the OR gate's inputs. The OR gate will light up and produce a signal whenever any, or both, of the switches are activated. No matter which of its inputs are active, the OR gate will produce a signal. Now hover your Poppet cursor over the OR gate and press the menu button to open its tweak menu. From here, you can add more ports using the number of ports tweak. Activate the invert output tweak to make the OR gate produce a signal whenever none of its inputs are active instead. Finally, use the output value tweak to change whether the OR gate produces a signal based on its highest input or whether its signal is based on all its inputs added together. This tweak isn't important for basic use though, so don't worry too much about it. An XOR gate produces a signal when one of its inputs, and only one of its inputs, is active. Find one on the Gadgets page of your tools bag, and then use the left stick and the action button to select it and place it onto a microchip. Attach a switch to each of the XOR gate's inputs. Notice that when you activate one switch, the XOR gate lights up and produces a signal. But when you activate the other one, the XOR gate shuts down. Now hover your Poppet cursor over the XOR gate and press the menu button to open its tweak menu. From here, you can add more ports using the number of ports tweak. However, the XOR gate only produces a signal when it has a single input, no matter how many ports it has. Finally, use the invert output tweak to reverse the XOR gate signal. It will only turn off when it has a single input. The NOT gate produces the opposite of the signal it receives. If its input is active, its output is inactive, and vice versa. Find one on the Gadgets page of your tools bag, then use the left stick and action button to select it and place it onto a microchip. Attach a switch to the NOT gate's input. When the switch is off, the NOT gate is on. Activate the switch, and the NOT gate goes dark. It's as simple as that. Whenever a toggle gate receives a new input, its output toggles between on and off. Find one on the Gadgets page of your tools bag, and then use the left stick and the action button to select it and place it onto a microchip. Attach a button to the toggle gate's input. Notice that every time you press the button, the toggle gate switches between active and inactive. That's the toggle gate. Simple. The counter produces a signal after it receives a specific number of inputs. Grab one from the Gadgets page of your tools bag and use the left stick and the action button to put it in the world. Attach a button to the counter's increment input and push it a few times. See how the bar progressively fills up? By default, a counter needs 10 inputs before it activates. Push the button 10 times and the output lights up. See? Now wire another button to the reset input and push that. The bar clears out. Now use the pop-it cursor and the menu button to open up the counter's tweak menu. Adjust the target count tweak to determine how many signals the counter needs before it activates. If you don't want it to start its count from 0, you can adjust the current count tweak as well. Finally, you can invert the counter's output so that it turns off after a certain number of inputs instead. The timer produces a signal after a certain length of time. Grab one from the Gadgets page of your tools bag and pop it down in the world with the left stick and the action button. There it goes. By default, a timer waits for 4 seconds and then activates. Naturally, this can be changed. Let's open the timer's tweak menu with the pop-it cursor and the menu button. Adjust the target time tweak to change how long the timer waits before producing a signal. If you want the timer to start counting somewhere other than 0, you can adjust its current time as well. The input action tweak controls how the timer reacts to logic. You can make it start and stop counting, move it backwards and forwards, make it play backwards, and more. Note that this tweak only applies to the input on the left. The input on the bottom is used to reset the timer back to 0. Finally, you can invert the timer's output to make it turn off after a certain length of time instead. The randomizer cycles through its outputs in an unpredictable pattern. Find one on the Gadgets page of your tools bag and place it in the world using the action button. To observe how a randomizer behaves, hook up its output to a pack of lights. Notice that it turns them on and off one at a time in no particular order. Naturally, this behavior can be altered via the tweak menu. Open it up using the menu button. The first tweak you'll see is the pattern tweak. The one at a time pattern is the default. It turns on one output, then turns it off, then turns on another output. If you want to make sure it doesn't pick the same output twice in a row, use the new Pick Each Time tweak. The add pattern activates each output one by one without turning them off again. The add and reset one full pattern does the same thing, but starts over again once it's done. Lastly, the toggle pattern randomly picks an output one at a time and reverses it. If it's on, it turns off, and if it's off, it turns on. The input action changes how the randomizer reacts to logic. You can use logic to simply turn the randomizer on and off, or you can use logic signals to advance the randomizer step by step. In the on-time category, you can set up a minimum and maximum time for the randomizer to leave its outputs activated. These times can be identical if you like, But if they're different, the randomizer will randomly choose durations between the two numbers. The off-time category is the same, except it controls how long the outputs stay deactivated. Finally, to reverse the randomizer's behavior, activate the invert output tweak. Now it leaves its outputs on and turns them off randomly instead. The direction splitter takes one input and splits it into a positive and negative output. You can find it on the Gadgets page of your tools bag, so grab one and place it in the world. Hook up a three-way switch to the direction splitter's input, then play with the switch. Observe how pulling the switch to the right lights up the positive output, and pulling it left lights up the negative output. That's the direction splitter in a nutshell. If you open its tweak menu with the menu button, you can also invert its output. Try it out. The direction combiner is used to take two different inputs and combine them into one output. Grab one from the Gadgets page of your tools bag, place it in the world, and hook it up to a counter so we can see what it can do. Attach two separate buttons to each of the direction combiner's positive and negative inputs. Then jump around on them like a madman. Notice that as you push on the positive button, the counter goes up, and as you push on the negative button, the counter goes down. All from one input. Amazing stuff. Now open up the direction combiner's tweak menu using the menu button. You can invert its output. Now when you push the buttons, they're reversed. Finally, you can change the output value. The Combine Inputs tweak is a direction combiner as usual. The Anglify Inputs option is typically used with controllinators and a control stick to combine both the stick's outputs into one angular value. A wave generator produces a signal in a wave back and forth between its minimum signal value to its maximum signal value. It's pretty simple to understand once you see it in action, so grab one from the Gadgets page in your tools bag and slap it down. If you don't already know, now is a good time to learn about signal waveforms and how to observe them. Move your poppet cursor over the wave generator's output using the left stick, then press the R2 button. Now you can see the wave generator's signal output in action, from -100 to 100, and back again, over and over, nice and smooth. This output can be connected to anything from movers to timers to lights. Of course, you can tweak the wave generator like anything else. Open the tweak menu using the menu button. With the period tweak, you can lengthen or shorten the time it takes for the signal to go from one end to the other. The sync tweak changes the timing of the wave generator relative to the timing in the rest of your level. You can use the delay tweak to make the signal pause for a while at each end. Change the wave generator's input action to determine how it reacts to other inputs. This could be as simple as turning the wave generator on and off, or as complicated as feeding the wave generator specific position values. In the output category, you can change the wave generator's maximum and minimum signal values. The signal can start and end wherever you like. You can also invert the output. Just keep an eye on the signal waveform, and you'll have it set up just right in no time. A selector has multiple outputs, only one of which can be active at a time. Find one on the Gadgets page of your tools bag and place it in the world with the Action button. By default, a selector's first output is active. However, if you attach a button to its third input and push it, the first output will turn off and the third one will activate instead. If you then attach the button to the second input and push it, the same thing happens, and you're left with just the second input active. If you attach the button to the cycle input at the bottom and push it a few times, you'll notice that it cycles from one input to the next, round and round. Now open up the Selectors tweak menu with the menu button. From here, you can increase or decrease the number of outputs the selector has, as well as change which output is active to start. Finally, you can invert the selector's output. Now only one output will be inactive at a time instead. The microchip is a handy tool for keeping your logic organized. It doesn't do much on its own, but you can store logic on its circuit board to keep it from cluttering up the rest of your levels. Fetch one from the Gadgets page of your tools bag and use the left stick and the action button to place it in the world. Pop! The circuit board opens up right away. You can put any logic onto it that you want, even other microchips. If you run out of room, you can change the circuit board shape by hovering the pop-it cursor over it and pressing the action button. Then just use the right stick to make it taller or wider. You can also move it around using the left stick. Once that's settled, just press the action button. You can open and close the microchip circuit board by hovering the cursor over it and pressing the grab button. This has no effect on the logic inside it. It's just to get it out of the way when you don't need it. From the microchip's tweak menu, you can give the microchip a unique name for even more organizational purposes. There are a host of visual tweaks as well. Finally, you may have noticed that the microchip has an input. You can use this to turn the microchip on and off via logic. When a microchip is off, none of the logic inside of it will function. A broadcast microchip will project all of its logic onto other things. They're on the Gadgets page of your tools bag, so put one down and let's have a look. First, place any logic you like onto the broadcast microchip circuit board. The broadcast microchip will automatically start broadcasting that logic to its target. By default, it will target the nearest player, so just move closer to see it work its magic. Naturally, you can change its target via the tweak menu, so open that up with the menu button. With the broadcast targets tweak, you can tell the broadcast microchip to target creatures, tags, or everything. If you select creatures, you can specify a certain character with the character to detect option below. Similarly, when you select tags, you can specify which tag. With the broadcast to tweak, determine whether the broadcast microchip chooses the closest target in range, every target in range, or just things in contact with whatever the broadcast microchip is placed on. If your broadcast microchip has a range, you can tweak it with the range category below. It's worth knowing that setting a maximum detection range to below 0 will make its range infinite. The trigger category will appear if your broadcast microchip targets things in contact. Use these tweaks to change the way the broadcast microchip handles detection via contact. You can put any logic you like onto a broadcast microchip, from simple tags, crazy movement, or complex customized control schemes. Finally, like a normal microchip, a broadcast microchip can be turned on and off via its input. Start small, and soon you'll be able to broadcast with the best of them. Have fun! The gameplay sequencer allows you to set up logic that triggers in a precise order over a precise amount of time. You can find it on the Gadgets page of your tools bag, so grab one now and put it into the world with the action button. Right away, you'll see the gameplay sequencer open up, revealing a panel of alternating stripes of dark and light colors. Each of these stripes represents a length of time as the gameplay sequencer plays from left to right. By default, each stripe lasts 1 second. By default, a gameplay sequencer is triggered by player proximity, so wander over it to activate it. The line that travels along the panel will activate any logic it meets along the way. Place some logic onto the panel now. You can even stretch most logic across the panel by pushing up on the right stick. Activate the gameplay sequencer again to observe the magic. Of course, this isn't all you can do. Open the gameplay sequencer's tweak menu with the menu button and take a peek. If you're going to trigger the gameplay sequencer using player proximity, you can adjust its awareness radius with the trigger radius and layer detection range tweaks. Otherwise, these tweaks can be ignored. If you're going to trigger it with logic instead, the input action will control how the gameplay sequencer activates. You can play it forwards or backwards, turn it on and off, adjust how fast it goes, and more. Just hook up some logic to the gameplay sequencer's leftmost input. The seconds per stripe tweak changes how long it takes for the gameplay sequencer to play a stripe. Activate the loop tweak, and the gameplay sequencer will start itself over again once it reaches the end of its sequence. You can also change the shape of the panel itself. Exit the tweak menu with the back button, and then select the panel with the action button. Now you can move it around with the left stick, or change its shape with the right stick. Up and down control how tall it is, and left and right control how wide it is. Once that's sorted, press the action button again. Finally, the rightmost input of the gameplay sequencer is used to interrupt the sequence and reset it. Use this if you need a way to make the gameplay sequencer stop early. The Controlinator is a powerful tool that outputs logic signals based on your controller's actions. You can find it on the Gadgets page of your tools bag. Select it and place it in the world with the action button. Notice that if you jump in and fiddle with the buttons on your controller, the corresponding outputs on the Controlinator will start lighting up. You may have also noticed the output in the middle of the Controlinator light up. This gives a signal when the Controlinator is occupied by a SAC thing, so you'll be able to tell when your Controlinators are being used. There are also outputs that react to your controller's orientation in the real world. Use these for levels with motion control. You can exit the Controlinator in Create by pushing in the right stick. Let's take a look at its tweak menu with the pop-it cursor and the menu button. You can give your Controlinator a name if you like. This is just for organization's sake. Helpful for a level with lots of Controlinators. Next, determine whether your Controlinator has remote control functionality. A transmitter will send its outputs to any receivers of the same color. For example, if you have a pack of SAC bots with red receivers on them, a player in a red transmitter can control all of them simultaneously. Also worth noting is the controlled by nearest player option on receivers. With this selected, your player can control a Controlinator without actually needing to be inside of it. If you don't want a player using your Controlinator to have access to their pop-it, activate the Disable Pop-it Controls tweak. Use the Set Trigger Radius and Layer Range tweaks to determine how close a SAC thing needs to be to enter the Controlinator. Activate the Automatically Enter tweak, and they'll be forced into the Controlinator as soon as they come in range. Change the Players tweak if you only want your lead player to be able to use the Controlinator. The tweaks in the Display category determine how the Controlinator appears for you in Create. You can open and close the circuit board, And if your control-inator is at an odd angle, you can stabilize it as well. Finally, the visuals category. If your control-inator has a mess of wires coming out of it, and you'd rather not see them, activate the Hide Outgoing Wires when circuit board is closed tweak. The side-mounted tweak changes how sactings appear whilst inside the control-inator. And as always, you can tweak its visibility in play mode. The game camera is used to ensure that the proper bits of your levels take center stage. You can find them on the tools page of your tools bag, so why not put one in the world and have a look? Use the left stick and the menu button to open up the game camera's tweak menu. The first thing to do is to set up your shot, so select Angle and Zoom. Pan the shot around with the left stick. Tilt your shot with the right stick. If you make a mistake, you can push the sticks in to reset the shot and start over. Zoom the shot in and out with the left shoulder buttons, and roll the camera with the right shoulder buttons. Once you've set it up how you like, press the action button to make it so. Most cameras are triggered by player proximity. To customize the activation area for your camera, tweak the zone. Use the left stick to move the zone around and the right stick to resize it. The left shoulder buttons move the zone back and forth, and the right shoulder buttons make the zone thicker and thinner. Once it's right, press the action button. The Adjust Player Tracking tweak allows you to customize how much the camera will concentrate on a player's movement. At 100%, it will keep track of your players pretty closely. But at 0%, it will completely ignore them and leave your shot exactly how you set it up. If you want your shot to change based on the game camera's physical angle, tweak local space to yes. Otherwise, your view will remain stable no matter what the camera is doing. And for a bit of extra drama, you can make the camera shake a little, or a lot. If you don't want the camera to activate until all the players are in its zone, use the Require All Players tweak. If you want your camera to be triggered by logic instead, you can change how it will behave with the Input Action tweak. In the Focus category, you can adjust your shot's depth of field and whether this changes relative to players. Finally, you can turn Z Relative Camera on if you want the shot to adjust based on the camera's position in the layers. The camera excluder material is a special material that tells game cameras to ignore players who are touching it. You can find it on the materials page of your goodies bag along with the rest of the materials, so grab some now and smear it down with the action button. Observe how the camera behaves when you touch the camera excluder. It stops tracking your movement until you exit the camera excluder space. This is great for keeping the camera from following players into deadly pits, secret rooms, and more. You can shape the camera excluder and corner edit it just like any other material, and it's totally invisible to players. You can even turn it on and off via its logic input. The Snapshot Camera is on the Tools page of your tools bag. Get one out and take a peek. Open up the Snapshot Camera's tweak menu using the menu button. The Angle and Zoom tweak determines the framing for the shot. You can set it up just like any other camera shot. The Zone tweak determines the area the players must enter to trigger the Snapshot Camera. Position and reshape it as you please. Activate the Require All Players tweak if you don't want the Snapshot Camera to trigger until everyone is in the zone. If you want there to be a delay between the activation and the actual picture taking, set that up with the countdown tweak. Finally, if you want the framing of the shot to change relative to the snapshot camera's position in the layers, activate the Use Z Relative Camera tweak. Once it's triggered, the snapshot camera takes a lovely picture of your players in your level. After a picture is taken, it will be converted into convenient sticker form and added to your player's My Pictures page. When you need fancy transitions and dramatic angles, the movie cameras are the tool for you. Check them out in the tools bag. First thing you'll want to do is to change the angle and zoom of your shot. Tweak the movie camera and open up the angle and zoom function with the action button. Now, you can adjust the shot to your liking. Pan the shot around with the left stick. Tilt your shot with the right stick. If you make a mistake, you can push the sticks in to reset the shot and start over. Zoom the shot in and out with the left shoulder buttons, and roll the camera with the right shoulder buttons. Once you've set it up how you like, press the action button to seal the deal. Want even more customization? Down in the focus category, you can adjust your shot's depth of field and its flatness. By default, a movie camera triggers when players enter its zone. You can trigger them with logic too, but if you're using the zone, you can tweak its size and shape with the shoulder buttons and the left and right sticks. The transition type determines what it looks like to switch from one shot to the next. By default, it's a simple, instantaneous cut. But play around with this tweak and you can wind up with all manner of fanciness. You can change how long the cameras take to transition down in the timing category. Change a movie camera's hold time to determine how long your shot lingers, or disable the hold time altogether to keep your shot indefinitely. If you do use a hold time, the movie camera's output will produce a signal. Use this to string multiple movie cameras together. If you want a movie camera to keep an eye on your players instead of a shot you set up yourself, tweak Track Player to Yes. Otherwise, leave it on No. If you want your shot to change based on the movie camera's physical angle, tweak Local Space to Yes. Otherwise, your view will remain stable no matter what the camera's doing. Similarly, you can turn Z Relative Camera on if you want the shot to adjust based on the camera's position in the layers. And for a bit of extra drama, you can make the camera shake a little. Or a lot. Finally, it's worth having a look at how movie cameras behave on sequencers. You can overlap them to create transitions. The transitions will last as long as they're overlapped. This is a fantastic way of setting up long, complex cutscenes. Try it out. As part of your play, create, and share experience, sharing your newly created levels couldn't be simpler. First, go to your moon and highlight the level you wish to publish with the left stick. Then, press the menu button to bring up the level's More page. Once it's up, you can move the left stick to highlight the level name option. Press the action button to give your level a snazzy name, or something as plain as Jane. Just make sure you pick something nice. Next, use the left stick to select the level badge option and press the action button. You can choose any stickers you've collected or created to help visually represent your level to the rest of the Imagisphere. Once you're done with that, use the left stick to scroll down to the Labels option. Once you've selected it with the Action button, choose from a multitude of labels that quickly describe what kind of level you've created. You can select up to 5 labels at a time using the Action button, so make sure you choose wisely. If you need to be a bit more descriptive, select the Level Description option with the Action button to let people know what it's about, how you got the idea, and then some. There are even more options you can add to your level as well. If you set it to be locked, only players who have its level key can play it. If you're feeling generous, you can let other SAC persons copy your masterpiece to their moons if you set it to be copyable. You can even make it a sub-level where your level is invisible to other players and can only be accessed by a level link. Once you're done, just select Publish with the Action button and you'll be sent to your Earth where you can use the left stick to position it anywhere you feel is perfect for your masterpiece. Slap it down with the Action button and your amazing new creation is now a part of Little Big Planet history. Playlists are a brand new way to group levels together. With a playlist, you'll always have quick access to your favorite levels, and you can browse everyone else's playlists for undiscovered gems. To create a new playlist, go to the My Playlist screen from your profile screen. There, press the Create Playlist button. From here, you can search for the levels you want to add to your playlist. Once you've found one, just highlight it and add it to your playlist with the Menu button. Each playlist can hold up to 40 levels. If you change your mind about one of your choices, just select it and press the Delete button to get rid of it. If you want to reorder a level in your playlist, select the Move option and use the left stick to reposition the level, and then use the Action button to place it. To find new playlists to browse, you can use the Community Search function, view highly rated playlists, or view a user's playlist directly from their profile page. As you examine a playlist, you can queue all its levels so you can play them later, play an individual right away, access a level creator's planet, and heart the list itself. With playlists, you're able to easily explore quality levels with similar gameplay or themes. Have fun! Not found any footage for your trailers yet? Well, it's pretty easy to get some, you know. Move your thumb over to the Share button and give it a quick double tap. Yep, just like that. Once you see that symbol pop up, your PlayStation 4 system will start recording your every action. When you're done, give another quick double tap of the Share button and it'll stop recording. There is a time restriction to be aware of though. Clips can only be attached to your level if they are 30 seconds or less. If you need to edit your clips a bit more, go to your PlayStation 4 system's home screen and fire up the SHAREfactory, where all the tools you need to trim, slice, and splice your footage down to a manageable length are housed. Have you noticed something a little different on your level's More page? Well, this snazzy new feature is called Trailers, and it's completely exclusive to the PlayStation 4 system. So lucky you, eh? To begin, go to your level's More page on your moon by selecting your level with the left stick and the Menu button. When you see the Attach a Trailer button on screen, simply highlight it with the left stick and press the Action button. Simply choose the footage of your creation by using the left stick and pressing the Action button to select it. There's a time restriction though, so you can only select footage that is 30 seconds or less. Once done, you'll see your footage attached to the Attach a Trailer button, confirming you've properly set it up. Publish your level as usual, and SAC persons all over the globe can now preview your level in motion. We did it! Let's take a look at the Organizertron and how to add quests in your own adventures. You can do it from the Organizertron page of the global stuff, or you can do it from the Organizertron itself in Create. Open it up now. The first thing you need to do is add a quest. Once you do, it appears in the Organizertron, ready to be tweaked. Highlight the quest and press the menu button to get started. First, decide whether your quest is a primary quest. If it is, the Organizertron will highlight it as such, so that your players will know it's extra important. Next, you can make your quests invisible. An invisible quest can be used for behind-the-scenes logic, or you can reveal them later on for surprise objectives. If you're gonna have a bunch of quests, it might be worth giving them different categories. You can use the current category tweak to create a new category, or choose from a list of the ones that you've already set up. When one quest is dependent on another, a player won't be able to see it until they've completed the quest it's dependent on. You can use the Test Quest menu to activate, complete, and deactivate your quests on the fly to make sure all of your logic is working correctly. You can test your quest tracking from here as well. It's a good idea to give your quests names. So highlight the quest title, press the action button, and think of something catchy. For further detail, you can change the quest description as well. Something to remind the players what they're in for. Below that, you can give the quest objectives if you like. Once a quest's objectives are complete, the quest is completed too. So, objectives are a good way of guiding your players through a quest. Simple quests don't need any objectives at all. But for the really busy ones, you can add up to 16 of them. You can give each objective its own name to remind players how to complete it. The number of completions required tweak lets you decide how many times an objective must be done before it counts as complete. Want your players to catch 17 chickens? Need them to push a button 42 times? You're covered. Like quests themselves, objectives can be made invisible for behind-the-scenes bookkeeping or to be revealed later. Also like quests, you can test individual objectives to make sure they're working correctly. If you want to be rid of an objective, you can easily delete it from here as well. Finally, scroll to the right to set up the prizes your players earn once they complete your quest. It's okay if you leave these empty though. The quest will function either way. Once you've set up your own quest, you probably want some way to start actually using them in your adventure. That's what the quest tweaker is for. Grab one from the tools page in your tools bag and let's give them a go. When it's set up, enter the quest tweaker's tweak menu with the menu button. Use the quest label tweak to select which quest you're going to affect. If you're working with a quest objective 2, select that with the objective label tweak. The action tweak determines what the quest tweaker does when it receives an input. It can activate its quest, mark it as complete, or deactivate it. With the trigger via prompt tweak set to yes, your players will be able to trigger the quest tweaker manually by approaching it and pressing triangle. You can also set the layer detection range for this function. If you don't want to use the prompt, your quest tweaker will need a logic input instead. The quest marker is used to direct your players who use the Organizertron's Guide Me option during your levels. It's on the tools page of your tools bag, so place one in the world and have a look. Open the quest marker's tweak menu with the menu button. From here, you can choose which of your quests it will track. You can even set up quest markers for specific objectives if you like. Once you've set it up, a player who uses the Guide Me option on this quest will be pointed to the quest marker. Be sure you put it somewhere useful. You may have noticed that quest markers have an input. You can use its input to turn it on and off. While it's off, players won't see the marker even while they're tracking the quest. You don't have to use the input if you don't want to though. A quest marker without an input is always on by default. The quest sensor can be used to trigger logic based on a player's progress through your quests. It's in the tools bag, so place one in the world using the left stick and the action button. In essence, the quest sensor produces a signal once certain quest conditions are met. Tweak it with the menu button and check it out. First of all, you need to choose which quest the quest sensor is keeping track of. You can even assign it to only pay attention to a certain objective if you want. Once you've selected the right quest, it's time to set up what the quest sensor is looking for. With the quest state tweak, you can determine whether the quest sensor produces a signal when its associated quest is active, inactive, or complete. The tracked quest only tweak is used to make the quest sensor only active while players are tracking your quest. Finally, you can reverse a quest sensor's output like any other output. With the quest sensor tutorial behind you, you can now set up logic to react to quests. Enjoy! The object saver is used to preserve an object status between playthroughs. They're on the tools page of your tools bag. There are no fancy tweaks to fiddle with. An object saver is a one and done. If an object has an object saver on it, it will save its state when the player exits your level. When the player re-enters, the object will remember where it was and how it was positioned. It works on logic too. Any triggered logic will remain triggered, and anything turned off will stay off. It's probably also worth mentioning that if an object saver is on an object that gets destroyed, it will remember that too. When the player re-enters the level, the object will still be gone. When you're making an exciting pack of levels and you want to wrap them up all in a pretty package, an adventure map is the answer. Find one of the 3 hexagonal craters on your moon and open up a fresh adventure by pressing the action button. Here you have it, a blank canvas for your adventure, ready to be filled with levels and decorated to your heart's content. From here, you can place blank levels with the action button. Or if you've already made levels and saved them, import levels using the menu button. Once levels are placed, you can edit, customize, or delete them directly from your adventure map. No need to go back to your moon. Now let's get to decorating. Press the right stick to open up the adventure map menu. The terrain material page and border material page are used to change the materials your map is made of. Note that if you choose a color tweakable material, you can tweak it from the menu. The stickers and decorations pages allow you to plaster your adventure map with colorful, crazy nonsense. It works just like normal Create. Just move them with the left stick and press the action button to put them down. At the top of the menus, you can save an adventure map for later or reset your current map back to the defaults. Any maps you do save can be loaded from the My Maps page. With the Landscape Styles page, you can choose from a variety of layouts for your adventure map's landscape. Just select your favorite with the action button. The Global Controls page is similar to the one in your levels. From here, you can adjust your map's lighting and ambient audio. Finally, press the pause button and select the Details option in order to give your adventure map a name, a description, and a lovely sticker.